Hello and welcome to the Screen Chronicles. I'm Colby and with me as always is Steve, and today we have a very special guest. She was a new member of the Last Kingdom family in Season 4, and she was definitely a big bright spot in Season 4 and for the show moving forward. She played Uhtred and Gisla's daughter Stiorra. Ruby Hartley, welcome to the Screen Chronicles.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being on today, Ruby. How you doing?
Very good, thank you. Yeah, this is quite exciting. It's something to do during lockdown, so...
Yeah, what have you been doing to keep yourself busy during lockdown?
Oh, I mean, recently it's been harder to try and find things to do. At the start, I was kind of like, oh, I'm going to learn a language and get really good at baking, and none of those things have happened. But quite a lot of binge watching stuff on Netflix, so that's been nice. Last Kingdom, obviously, but then some other things too.
Like what else?
We watched Afterlife in about a day and a half here, which is like a Ricky Gervais series, which was
What's that on?
Do you have that in America? It's on Netflix.
I think I have seen that on there.
Okay.
I haven't watched it though.
Recommend that. It was really good. Good.
So
He's
I know
hilarious.
you guys have some different shows than us on Netflix, because Eliza recommended we watch The Last Dance, but here it wasn't on Netflix. It was coming out on cable still, I think, so they didn't put it on yet. So we haven't been able to watch that yet.
I've heard. I haven't actually seen that yet, but my brother just watched that, and he said that it's so good. So I think maybe I'll start that this weekend.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Very, very, very cool. Well, we're very interested in learning about you and about how you got your start into acting. So could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. It is that kind of classic thing where I always wanted to do it.
Oh yeah.
For as long as I can remember. One of my mum's best friends runs a theatre company where I live. And I actually started doing that before I started going to school. So I always did that when I was growing up and like loved doing that. But that was obviously always theatre. And then as I got a bit older, I've always loved watching TV and films. And I was like, oh, these people are like performers as well. Like you can be an actor on the screen too. And so when I realised that, I sort of realised I wanted to do straight acting was what I really wanted to do. And then kind of just looked into drama school and auditioned for drama school and got really lucky and got a place at the Royal Welsh College, which is in Cardiff.
Okay.
I did 3 years there and signed with an agent then in my 3rd year. And then I started auditioning, and then this was actually like one of the first auditions I really had.
Wow, what a start.
Yeah, it was great.
Really great start. And I think I saw that Nigel, the executive producer, was pretty impressed with your audition for The Last Kingdom too. I think I read, you really had a great start.
How'd you hear about it? Was it you were a fan of the show already, or?
Well, actually, no. The self-tape came through from my agent to audition for it. I did that, and then when I spoke to my brother and was like, oh, I just had an audition for this, and I found out I have a recall, and he was like, I love that show, like that's one of my favorite shows, we all watch it at college. So I was like, oh cool, like that makes it even cooler. But I hadn't actually seen it before I auditioned for it.
Oh really? Okay.
Yeah, so it was cool. So then after I found out I got the part, I literally binge watched it in about 3 weeks. Did like a season every week.
And did you like it?
Yeah, I really liked it.
Yeah,
I've actually not seen, like, I'm one of those weird people that hasn't even seen Game of Thrones or anything like that. So
I wouldn't waste your time after season 8, you know.
Oh really? Yeah.
Season 7, right? Yeah.
When I was like, oh, maybe I will watch it, it was just as that series came out, then I was like, oh, maybe not, I don't know. But I still haven't. But so
Seasons 1 through 7 are really good.
Okay, cool. I feel like I should, just to, say I've seen it, but
yeah.
I don't normally like this. I'm normally like just the kind of person who rewatches Friends over and over again.
Oh, okay, cool.
You know what I mean? So it was a bit out of my comfort zone of things to watch, but I was shocked by how quickly I was so hooked on it.
That's the thing about the show, is I've recommended it to a lot of different people, a lot of different kinds of people with different tastes. And I think anybody can find something they like about The Last Kingdom. You know what I mean? There's something about it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's because all the characters in it are, I don't know what it is about them, but you just get so on board with them so quickly.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like, because I was a bit like, oh, am I going to get really lost? Like, there's all this like history and fighting and that. I was like, oh, I'm never going to, be able to stay on top of this. It's so easy to stay on top of it. that I just,
Yeah, it's amazing how sometimes like there'll only be a character that shows up like one time, one episode or two episodes, but you feel like you've known them for so long. Somehow they do that, but totally.
And like with Game of Thrones too, I feel like sometimes you need like a family tree, and you need like to look at it like a chart to figure out what's all going on. Why is he mad? And I think with The Last Kingdom, it's pretty straightforward those too,
especially for the amount of stuff they have going on.
And for the amount of characters they have. You know, I can remember that. I can remember like I think the first time I went out to Budapest and going into Molly's costume room and seeing all the headshots of everyone that was in it up on the board. I was like, there's so many characters. Like even watching it, I wasn't aware that there was that many people.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
But you somehow managed to kind of stay on board with it, which I really liked about it.
Very cool. Now you watched the show. Did you read the books too, getting ready for it or anything? Or?
I actually didn't. I didn't have enough time to read all the books. And I actually still haven't. But I got my grandpa, when he found out that I got the part, he's a massive reader.
Okay.
And he like got on reading them straight away. And then he made me, just before I went out to Budapest, a book where he'd kind of like cut out all the Stiorra bits.
Oh, that's awesome.
Put them all in. So I got to read all of her bits, which was quite cool.
Oh, that's awesome. So did that help influence your character then?
Yeah, I think so. Because when you audition for something, you get a little brief about the character anyway. So I kind of already knew that she had this sort of like feisty, quite independent personality, which I really liked. But then obviously I read some of the stories from the books, and even though it's not, you know, directly the same in the show, it's the same vibe of kind of character. And I was like, oh no, she's really cool.
Cool. Very cool.
Yeah. I think that helps.
So you say you love to watch TV and films. Who are some of your biggest acting inspirations?
Oh, that's a really good question. You know, I have to say at the moment, the first person that comes to mind is probably somebody like Jodie Comer.
Okay.
I really enjoy Killing Eve, and I really love accents and things, and she's so great at all of that kind of stuff, and everything you see her in, I always think she just seems really different, and I really like that about her. You know, but even before Killing Eve, there was a few programs I'd seen her in where I was like, oh, she's completely different to what she was in that one. So I think somebody like her probably.
Cool.
Maybe her first. So I would say that at the moment.
Very, very cool.
Is there any film that like stands out for you too that was like, oh, this really made me want to get into acting? Or
oh, that is a good question, because I'm now thinking of things I've seen recently which make me be like, oh, I want to be like them. But back when I was kind of watching stuff, do you know, I'm really into chick flicks and films like which you know, I want to say some really arty, really cool film. But I genuinely think it was watching films like that when I was like 15, 16, where I was like blown away by how real it all seemed.
Yeah.
Even in kind of like, I don't know, I think the first kind of chick flick film I ever watched was Angus Thongs and Perfect Snogging. And I loved it because I was like, you genuinely feel like, I love how when you watch a film, you just feel like you're completely a part of that world. And it blew my mind that they were actors.
Okay.
Yeah, even in kind of like,
when
I watched that. So it's like a simple chick flicky type film, but still, I just, for 2 hours or whatever, just felt like I was not sat in my bedroom watching it anymore. And I think it was that made me want to be an actor.
Very cool.
That you can take someone out of, I think, I would say. Yeah. I'm also a massive fan of Tarantino films, so that does make me sound a little more. Those are my other ones, which some of the acting in that absolutely love, like in Django Unchained or whatever, that scene where DiCaprio actually hurts his hand.
We talk about the scene all the time. We love that scene.
Oh, yeah. I just like the fact that you can be so in a character that you just carry on like that, and it's so. And
that's not in the script.
I know.
That's crazy.
I feel bad. It was Kerry Washington who was sitting there in that scene when, like, I don't think she knew he was gonna wipe the blood on her face.
Hand on her face.
I know, but she just goes with it as well. Like, I love it. And it's the same with that scene in is it in Alien, where the alien comes out of his stomach for the first time? They didn't know that was going to happen.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
I did hear that he'd like try to surprise them. I didn't realize the alien.
Yeah.
Oh man.
No, I'm pretty sure it's that. You know that scene where they're sat around having dinner, and then he falls back onto the table, and then it all pops out.
Yeah.
Of his stomach. I'm pretty sure the other actors in the scene had no idea that was going to happen.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you need to get a true reaction, I guess, right?
But I love that you can be so in your character that you just continue to react in your character.
Right, instead of being like, cut, this threw me off, you know,
I'd be like, whoa, you didn't tell me you were going to blow blood on my face. Or you sent an alien out. Yeah, things like that, I think.
Was there anything like that on The Last Kingdom that you just reacted as Stiorra?
Ooh, I'd like to say yes, definitely. You know, all of it was just, I think when doing scenes with like, especially with like Mark and Arnest and people, they were always great at sort of like doing something a bit different all the time and always being up for like trying different things, which was really nice. Like there were a few scenes where we would just kind of like the scene in the pub where I downed the drink with them. You know, there was like a couple of times where we did the reaction where we were laughing and then some we were a bit more shocked or whatever, and kind of just being able to go off them was really nice with things like that.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah.
So what was it like to join a cast like this that was already had a reputation of being so close knit? And what was that like?
It was, to begin with, before I got there, it was really daunting. And it was actually one of the things I was thinking as I was watching the series before I went out. I was like, oh, you know, these guys have done so much together already. They're going to be like best mates, and I'm going to be just sat my own in my apartment, you know.
All right.
But I'm not even joking, like, I'm not exaggerating. As soon as I got there, every single person that I met was just so lovely.
Oh, nice.
And so actually within the space of, I think, to be honest, the first evening, I felt like, okay, this is going to be fine because they're all super welcoming. There was no kind of, I don't know what I was expecting, not a kind of like, oh, you're new, oh, you know, don't talk to us. It was just everybody. And, you know, before I got there, people I met were like, oh, they're really nice. You kind of think you're just saying that to make me feel better. But it really was the case. It sounds really stupid. It genuinely is like family.
It's what everybody says that we talk to. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And we love to hear that. Yeah.
It really is the truth. So
cool.
it was actually really nice to join a cast that was already so established. It kind of made me feel a bit safer because I was like, these guys really know what they're doing and they're helping me out, so I'm okay.
Cool. So going from that, you know, just getting to Budapest and meeting everybody, and then when it comes to filming your first scene, tell us a little bit about what that was like.
I would honestly say it was I was probably the most anxious I've ever been that morning. I remember waking up that morning thinking, I'm getting picked up in a minute. Is this an okay thing to wear to set? Like, I don't even know what I'm doing. But it was, I can remember we were filming outside on a hill and it was like 40-degree Hungarian sun. It was hot. I think we were outside for pretty much the whole day, so I can just remember being very, very hot and sweaty and disgusting, which was, you know, took away some of the anxiety, I guess, worried about my acting. And then it kind of just happened really quickly. You know, we were sat there and then all of a sudden they were calling action and then we'd done the first take.
Wow.
It was nice because it was a scene with quite a lot of people, and they were all people that I'd met sort of a few days before we started filming, so that was nice, and everyone was just kind of helping me out and giving me little tips.
Cool.
Oh, you know, if you look here, this is better, if you do this, whatever, just little things which actually made it really enjoyable, sort of
cool stuff. So did you learn a lot too as kind of a new actress coming into this field?
Yeah, I think it was I'd never done anything on screen before this, so I really kind of had no idea. At drama school you do a few sort of TV projects, but it's mainly theatre based, so yeah, I think I probably learned more in those however many months it was than I could have imagined I would, and it was really nice to just be with people that were open to giving me tips and talk about stuff, and that was nice. I still definitely made some mistakes, but they were nice.
we thought you killed it.
Yeah, we did.
We were both really surprised when we were just looking you up. There wasn't really a lot on you. We're like, oh, well, she already seemed like a well-established good actor.
Oh, thank you.
You would assume when you watch them. Yeah.
It's not the case.
I remember the first time they released the pictures of the characters, and we saw you, and I did a double take when I saw your picture because I thought I saw Gisela.
So many people have said that.
I imagine, right? You get that a lot, right?
Yeah.
And I immediately sent it to Steve. I was like, check it out. This is Uhtred's daughter. Doesn't it look like, it could be Uhtred or Gisla's daughter in real life,
Yeah.
So
I remember just before I got the part, just as I got the part, sorry, and like telling some of my family and friends, and they were like quickly watching it. They were like, "You actually kind of look like this girl that plays your mom. You actually do," which was funny. And then obviously, I think the costume and the makeup team are also so good. They add to that as well and emphasize it a bit, I think.
Totally. It's not like you guys are like spitting images, but it definitely looks like you could be related, I think.
Yeah.
For
Finn
sure.
as well, I think. We could definitely come across brothers.
And Finn.
I think yeah.
Totally. And obviously your characters took two completely different paths, which is interesting. Yeah. But did you go back and like study Perry Baumeister's performance in like seasons 2 and 3 when you were getting ready for the role or anything to take any of that?
Yeah, I was definitely more aware of her as a character, I think. When there was a scene with her, I'd always be watching to just sort of see how she was and just her general kind of vibe. Because I think it was really nice to bring in a bit of both of them to the character. And actually, it's one of the things I really love about Stiorra is that she is such a combination of them both.
Oh my God, yeah.
Both in the way I look, but also in her personality.
Totally.
And it was cool then when I arrived, Molly's costume had little, like I had her dagger holder and stuff. Mm-hmm. And there were little bits of Uhtred's costume from the series before which were involved in mine. And I hadn't even spoken to Molly about that. Like I'd only just met Molly and we were trying on a costume. And I was like, this is amazing. Because this is the kind of thing I wanted to do. I want to bring both of them in, and now you're showing that in the costume. And so that really helped as well, I think. But definitely going back and watching her and just seeing how she was, and then having that in my mind. That's doing helpful.
And Uhtred as well, I assume too. I mean, right, cool.
Yeah. Because I think that's what she is, like a female version of her dad a little bit, I think.
Totally is.
Which I really like.
Totally is. That stubborn blood that Uhtred has and that free spirit Uhtred has, totally.
Yeah, so I think that was cool too. And I hadn't even read the script when I was for my series whilst I was watching them back. But I can remember watching it and thinking like, oh, he's such a cool character. Like I'm really going to try and be like him.
That's awesome. No, you did a good job of that for sure.
Thank you.
What was your favorite scene then during the season 2 shoot?
During that's so tricky. I think I really liked shooting the scenes towards the end in kind of like episodes 9 and 10 when I kind of feel like she finally gets to put into action all the stuff she's been saying she wants to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She's kind of, I feel like I spend the first kind of episodes that I'm in it being like, I don't want to just sit and do nothing and look after children.
Right.
And then she is kind of like, well, okay, you're going to get kidnapped then. Fine. Like, go and, see if it's all talk. So I think I really like the scenes then that I got to do with Ace. He plays Sig Sugar.
He was phenomenal too, yeah.
Yeah, I think that scene where they first realised they're not that different.
Yeah.
Because it was kind of then I got to take her from being this young girl into a little bit more of like the woman she's going to become.
Yeah, totally.
You know what I mean? She was finally away from her dad.
Is this the scene where you were holding the glass up initially and he came in initially? Yeah. Yeah,
because I think at that point she still doesn't know what he's going to be like. I think in her mind he's going to be absolutely horrific to her. It's the first time she really has to like dig deep and just be like, okay, I have to stick up for myself here. So that was cool to go from that, to do that change then from when she was a bit younger.
Yeah, I think it's a nice transition. We get to know Stiorra a little bit more in that respect too. Those are very memorable scenes with Sigtryggur and Stiorra, I think.
Favorite parts were, and just bringing up, the difference between, or the similarities between the Danes and the Saxons, and explaining that. It was really cool. It's like the two of them are going to bring about like this new sort of perspective on what we know from just the Saxons versus Danes. I'm really excited to see where that goes.
And I think as well that's something that throughout all the rest of the series, they are so separate, aren't they? And it's always like they're always fighting.
Right.
So yeah, that is something I love. I was like, oh, when I read those episodes, I was like, oh, this is so cool. You know, there's finally some, because she is literally half Saxon, half Dane, really. You know,
Right.
she's got both within her. It's nice that his character as well, he's, you know, obviously a new Dane in the show, and he is slightly different to the other Danes that we've seen before. So yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah, he's got different methods of getting what he wants for sure. You know, those scenes were phenomenal to watch, and we loved, you know, the little banter with you guys, a little flirtatious banter with the game and reading the book, the Chronicle. It was cool.
Yeah, no, it was really fun.
One of my favorite episodes too, which when I was watching it was kind of like, this is kind of weird because of how relatable it was at the time, was the episode 6, the quarantine episode, basically, in Wessex. And
I know, and I'd forgotten about that until I rewatched it, and then I was like, oh my goodness, we're so on topic here.
Yeah. It was weird watching it. Like, they closed the borders. They, you know, it was crazy.
They're running away. They're
you know, yeah. I know
there's a bunch of people that doesn't know how it spreads, you know. Finnan's trying to educate everyone to watch that.
Foreshadowing, you know, I was like, oh no, did we jinx this? Did we jinx coronavirus?
Yeah, maybe it's all your guys' fault. I don't know.
No, but that's something that happened all the time back then. But it was just so weird because we're used to sort of escaping from our world when we're watching this. But like, it was, you know, at the end of April when it came out, and it was like the first full month of quarantine. It was just so like weird. I'll just sit in my room. I'm just like,
you know what the most relatable moment of that was though, is when you were walking through the fields and you sneezed, and Finnan was like, "Yo." and that was everybody in like the first month of the outbreak. You know, someone coughs, it's like, oh my god, I need to get my hazmat suit on.
I can remember doing it and going, oh no, I just choked on my water, like my water went down the wrong way. I don't have coronavirus, I promise. Yeah, I know.
That was crazy.
How is it there? Are you in England, correct? Or
yeah, I'm in England. Yeah, it's still pretty locked down, I have to say. I'm at my parents' house, which is really nice. We have a nice garden and stuff, so you can do a bit of outside time. Things are starting to relax a tiny bit more. But yeah, it's not great. It feels like it's been going on for ages now.
Yeah, it does. It's like becoming the new normal now, which is weird.
Yeah, I've kind of forgotten how to socialize. I'm a bit worried I'm going to be a bit weird when I go back out into
We're going to be exactly the same. We're going to be the same weirdos we were.
Yeah, exactly.
You guys are in America, right?
Yeah, I'm in New York. Steve is in Pittsburgh. So yeah. In New York, they just allowed us now we can have groups of 25 people in one place. So we're opening up a little bit. Some people think too early, but at the same time, they need to open businesses. So it's a very delicate balance.
Yeah. You know, pretty much the same here. It's just everyone, you know, that Friday it was here that we went to Green. Everyone went back out, and I'm kind of worried that jumped the numbers back up again.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what else to do other than keep us all inside indefinitely. I know.
Yeah.
I don't know. So
at the same time, people need to work and stuff. But yeah, it's
totally. It's a weird time.
It is a weird.
It is weird.
But speaking of that, episode 6, I don't know. You said you've never watched like Game of Thrones. Have you seen Lord of the Rings?
No,
ever?
No. I know. Nothing. I've never seen anything like that.
Well, that episode really reminded us of like a Lord of the Rings feel, because Lord of the Rings are always like on a journey, and like they're walking through the woods, they're going through these paths and stuff, and that's like all episode 6. How long did it take to film episode 6? Because it looked like you guys used a lot of different locations.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly. It was quite a long time, and I just remember there being a lot of running through random fields in just blazing heat, and I just felt terrible every time I give my costume back at the end of the day. Like, I wish I could take that home and wash it myself. Like, I'm so sorry that we so yeah, it was I think I could be completely wrong. So I want to say like around a month for 5 and 6. I think I was filming those 2 episodes. But yeah, it was lots of getting up early and driving to quite random random places, and then
beautiful places, yeah,
beautiful field or a forest, and doing that. But yeah, felt like a lot of running. I never done that much running.
Was it? Oh my god!
I was like, do it again. I was like, oh really?
And they had probably already got the shot they needed. They just wanted to get you guys running.
Yeah, you need some cardio. Like, come on, let's go.
we joke about Father Pure League in the show is like always sprinting up hills in this season, which we thought was hilarious.
Yeah, he looks trim though now too. I mean,
he was.
Yeah, I mean, running in that heat, you've got to do something, isn't it? It's good.
And your costume, is like long sleeve almost, and
I mean,
did it get hot under that?
She's very. I'm like Molly's biggest fan. I think the costumes are just incredible.
She's a genius.
Yeah, like I can just remember going for my fitting and being like, I love it. Every single thing she suggested, I was like, yes, I love it. Yes, absolutely. So she was. I think my costume, I was relatively lucky. I didn't have any too like heavy leather. I had the leather skirt, but it was quite a lot of layers, but they were all quite thin, so it wasn't too bad.
Could have been worse. Okay.
I can remember like having to go to the toilet or something was always quite difficult because there was quite a lot of layers to like try and hold up, and I didn't want to drop it down the toilet or something like that.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah,
it definitely did get very, very hot. Yeah,
and you definitely had a really cool costume. Did you? And you say Molly had all these ideas for it, but did you put anything into it yourself?
Molly's like super great with always wanting to talk to you about it and stuff. And you know, I think I went for my first fitting, and we didn't change it that much actually from my first fitting. We definitely spoke about it. It was kind of a bit like everything. I was like, oh, this is cool. She'd kind of already done.
Okay.
So cool. You know, especially the mixing, bringing a bit of Gisela in and having Uhtred and stuff like that. So I think it was pretty much all Molly on that. And I was just like a puppy, like, yes, forgive me that, and oh yeah, I'd love a ring, like let's have more rings and more whatever. But it was quite a quick turnaround for me actually. I think I had my first costume fitting and then I started filming maybe 2 weeks later.
Wow.
Yeah, it all went quite quickly, like, from getting the part to then going out to Budapest and trying on my costume, and then I literally do think it was about 2 weeks, maybe not even that, before we started again.
I really like the necklace you have because it you know, Uhtred kind of resembles Uhtred's, right?
Yeah, so, with the stone, the massive stone.
Yeah.
Definitely. I can't remember when she showed me that one, but I think that was definitely one of the times I was like, that's so smart. That's such a good idea. Yeah, and I think it was the same with when I had like my hair and stuff done. I can remember going to have my hair done for the first time, and Pickles, who did my hair, was like, you know, we're thinking maybe mirror a bit of Uhtred, and I remember thinking, oh no, they're going to shave the sides of my hair. But luckily it wasn't that. But
yeah,
you know, we actually had a matching little braid in the back of our both.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So that was it. Although you don't really see it when you're watching the show or pick it out, it was really nice to know that was there. So I think it was in episode 5. They gave Alex another little braid which was matching to one of mine.
That's so cool. That's what we love about this show. There's all these little attention to detail, things that you don't see the first time you watch it, or you don't even see it all until you hear about it, that you guys pay attention to those little details. It's awesome.
And everyone in every department is so on it and so good at what they do.
Yeah.
I think that's what makes the show really. It kind of all feeds in then to help him make those characters so believable.
It just seems like a perfect storm of everybody. I mean, the actors are phenomenal. The writers are phenomenal. The cast, or the crew, and the set designers, and everything. Costume designers, everything.
Yeah.
But cool.
You know, when you say about what did I learn a lot, I think that was the thing. It wasn't even just about learning about the acting side of it. It was, you know, speaking to Molly about the costumes and Pickles about the hair and makeup, and seeing all the crew do what they do. All that stuff that when you actually just watch a show, you have no idea that's going on. But all these people, and you know, they're actually on set way longer than we are, and you know, working crazy hours and doing just so many jobs. You know, really, I think the actors, you get quite a nice ride. It's quite a nice easy job, you know.
Yeah,
that was cool to learn about those sides of it, I think.
Yeah, I think when we talked to Molly, I think we said to her, like, you know, you're never on camera, but your work is always on camera. And then we just recently talked to Nick Murphy, who directed episodes 1 and 2 in season 1 and was co-executive producer. And then to learn about the scope of his job and everything he has to do was amazing too. And it's amazing.
The cameras and the lights.
Yeah.
Just because when you watch something, it all just seems to happen so effortlessly. And, like I was saying, you're just suddenly part of that world and you totally believe it.
Yeah.
But it's because all these people are doing so much work. It's like a swan, like when their legs go really fast underneath, but they look really chilled out.
Yeah, totally. One scene I love from you is when Cainrick comes to try to get Aelthwyn.
Yeah.
I think it's Saltwick. You guys are at. Is that the name?
Yeah, when we were in the lovely house.
Yes,
like
Ethelfled's
estate place. Yeah.
Yeah.
And no problem. We'll just get you guys in your hiding spots, and and you're a lot like Uhtred in the fact that your character is also an actor as well. To fool them.
Yeah. And that kind of cunning side of it.
That cunning side of it. Exactly what I was going to say. Could you talk about, maybe doing that scene a little bit? That was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was cool actually. It was nice that I loved that it was in that first episode where you meet Stiorra, because you kind of get to see, she's like her dad right from the get-go. Yeah. It was really fun to film that scene actually. Even just having like all those horses when I opened the gates and all the horses are there in front of me and stuff. That was great. I think we actually filmed that. I think I'd already filmed most of episode 6 by that point.
Okay.
I was definitely starting to feel a bit more comfortable, and which was nice actually to then do that scene with that. But it was just great, and where all the guys were hidden, like Arnis was under the bed and things. Yeah. It was great, and I can remember just thinking like, okay, this is where you're gonna. This is like the starting block for Stiorra. This is like people's first impression of her.
Yes.
And it's quite like, it was nice to have that combination of that cunning side of her, but also she's still I feel like in those episodes she still feels like quite young and sweet. She's kind of associated with the younger children.
Yeah.
But there's a bit more to her than that. So it was nice to explore that and find that.
Totally. It seems like she's got so much, she knows she has so much potential. And I love the little dialogue you have with Uhtred immediately after he comes back, and you say to him something like, I always knew, death came for mother faster than she could ever know, and I always knew it would come for me out of nowhere, or something like that. But it was, really an amazing line, I thought.
Yeah, and where she's kind of saying, she says you realize she really trusts her dad, and because she says, I knew you were going to come back for me, I knew that was going to be okay. Yeah. She's also really brave, she's seen that happen to her mum, and I think she's a bit older, that definitely her mum dying would have had a bigger impact, a really big impact on her.
Yeah.
And probably continues to play on her mind a lot of the time.
Totally.
So I loved that she's kind of not afraid to face into that.
Okay.
She's thinking like, this could have been it, like they could have killed me, but I still believe this was the right thing to do, so I did it.
Absolutely.
Which I feel like is a bit, again, a good combination of her mum and her dad. I feel like they both have that kind of mentality.
Absolutely. Well, Gisela was always that kind of headstrong too, and
but she was always nice, but she would always put Uhtred in his place when he needed it.
Oh, absolutely,
dealing with the other guys.
Really. Yeah, I love that about her. Definitely strong women.
Yes, strong women.
The show has a lot of those actually. That was something else when I watched it. I loved about it, and I was almost a little bit shocked by it, because I think when you think back to those times, you just assume it was kind of all about the guys, and I feel like the show is really great at all the female characters in it are actually they're great. Like they're such full, strong, feisty women. I love that about it too.
Totally, especially obviously Ethelfled in history was a really strong character. Yeah. I mean, a person, and obviously Millie Brady does a great job, and you and Stephanie Martini kind of are introduced this season as like the new strong women of the show that are going to carry the show forward as well. So
it's cool. And I feel like the same with Eliza's character.
And Eliza,
actually, I feel like she really gets to, because I think actually even throughout the other episodes, she really is Alfred's kind of like right hand man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
she's
absolutely.
Really powerful and influential in that character, and then in this series she like takes that to a whole new level again, which was cool to see as well.
One thing, when we got into the show, we always said like one of our favorite things that drew us to it was like the camaraderie between Uhtred and his guys, especially season 2 when he gets Finnan and Citric. But you were really like a bro this season, I think, too. One of our favorite parts was you and Mark Rowley when you're at the pub saying, we're the king advisors here. And can you walk us through that scene there? Yeah.
It's so fun. I mean, those guys are kind of like that on and off camera. They really are just all such good friends, and like they're hilarious. You know, it was always so fun doing scenes with them. Because they are like Uhtred's gang in real life too.
That's cool. That's cool.
And, yeah, it is cool. And I was kind of, again, it was one of the things I was like, oh, cool. You guys genuinely are friends. Like, you genuinely all want to hang out and have a good time, because it's not just on camera. And I think that's why it comes across so well on screen, and it's so believable on screen, because that is actually just the truth. But I can remember reading that scene and being like, yes, like I guess she gets to be one of the guys now, because I think she really wants that right from the start. And in that episode, in episode 5, where she says, I've got a plan, I feel like that's her kind of wanting to prove herself to the guys a bit too. Yeah. Like, you guys don't have to take over. I've got this.
I got this.
And I feel like that scene is the moment she's like, I'm part of this now. Like, I'm here with these guys. It was really fun. It was in the script that she downs the drink and stuff, obviously, as well. But we definitely got on board with that. And I can remember, I think Mark especially was like, oh, this is going to be so fun. And the way they filmed it, they just kept adding more and more to it. And it became more and more like the lads. So that was cool.
The lads. Yeah. That's awesome.
And a lot of non-alcoholic beer, which was a bit weird, but
Well, it's got to be the real thing. Come on.
I know. I'd have been so drunk.
Yeah, you were like Osforth after that.
I'd say Stiorra is more of like Uhtred's girl, and I'd say young Uhtred's more of like like a mom's boy, like Gisla's son. That's how I pick it up, at least when I'm watching.
Yeah, I think it's funny. We always used to joke, like when I would always be like, oh, I'm definitely going to take Bevanville one day. Obviously it's going to be Stiorra's, but I actually think that he's very subtly quite a lot like Uhtred. He's actually equally as stubborn and headstrong, I think.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He's just a bit gentler in the way he shows it. I mean, I don't know, I'm now speaking for Finn, obviously, but that's, especially when I watched it back, I was like, oh no, okay, I totally see how he's his father's son as well.
Yeah, you can. It's like he's as stubborn as his father, but in Christianity,
Yeah, that's exactly
so it's...
Yeah, he's not, although he's kind of not being like, no, I'm going to fight and I'm going to do all of this. He's like, no, I'm going to go back and do what I believe is right. And he does do that. And, I think there's that line, isn't there, near the end where Alex says like, oh, I've created, my children are both, they both want to do their own thing, basically. Which I really like. And I actually, it was cool to watch that back and see that about young Uhtred too.
Yes, yeah.
Even those first few episodes, because I obviously had never seen them or even read the scripts for those first 4 episodes. I only knew what happened in those from people telling me and talking about it on set. So I was really excited to watch those 4. And I think even in those first 4 episodes, I was like, oh no, okay, I see how his character is, because he doesn't just give in to his dad straight away, and he's he like knows himself a lot, which I really like. And I think that's definitely a family trait, I think, within our family, within the Uhtred family.
Yeah, totally. No, that's cool.
Yeah,
definitely some confidence in them.
Yeah, like they're like, no, you're not going to tell me what to do.
I was wondering too, because you were both sent to the church, I think, right? Like your characters when you were little, but you got away from it, I guess, at some point. I mean, they don't show it on camera. I don't know if you guys talked about that at all, but
I think in my mind it was always kind of, we both sort of probably grew up in the church. I think probably for me, Stiorra was kind of never into it. She was even a young kid. I can imagine it just being a bit like, oh, this is so boring. So I think then when the opportunity probably of realizing they could use her as a bit of a babysitter with the other kids came along, They were like, yeah, let's just send her off to live in that place with them, and she can help look after those. I think that for me was how it always went. I think she would have definitely grown up a bit around the church.
Right.
But I think that she probably just wasn't that bothered, whereas young Uhtred, I think he was probably into it the whole time. It was quite clear it wasn't for her, maybe, I think.
Interesting. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I just got a quick question about you have a few scenes with Ethelstan. And so he's a pretty young kid, and on screen he is like so kingly and mature. I mean, I can't imagine what he was like as an actor, that young man. That was
it was the same. It was the same with Helena as well. They were just both of them were so, I was just like super professional. it was really, I was like, oh, and then they do their acting and you think, oh, you're really good at acting too, and you're really, it was great. Because it's long hours for them as well, and it's hot, and it's hard for anyone when you're tired and really hot.
Yeah,
they were great, and that definitely, again, like you say, comes across then on camera.
Totally.
Yeah, just like super talented kids. I was like, I don't think at that age I would be able to hold my own like with all these adults all the time anyway.
I couldn't have talked normal, let alone acted as a little king,
Yeah. No, they were really, really great.
I'd be playing with all the swords or something. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'd be like, I just want to go and like play with that, and halfway through a take, like, oh, my tummy hurts or something. Yeah. But they never did. They were really, they were just as professional on and off camera.
That's cool. So tell us some things that you love about Stiorra.
Everything. No, I love how feisty she is. I love that even when literally she thinks she's going to be killed, she thinks she's going to die, whether it's in episode 5 or then when she's kidnapped and taken away, she doesn't waver. She never at any point just tries to go, please don't hurt me, like I'll do whatever you want. She so knows what she wants, and she so knows what she thinks is right. And she just completely sticks with that. And I like that carries on the whole way through. I think she's really solid in herself, and I like that, because I think even those scenes where Sigtryggr takes her, when he first says put her in a separate room, in my mind she's thinking he's doing that because he's gonna like be vile to me now. That's
yeah.
And I have I don't think she has any idea that it's going to end up the way it does end up. But yet in that scene she doesn't like bow down to him at any point, And it's the same when she tells an army of guards that, Uhtred's not here. I don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
Just got that kind of confidence.
Uhtred?
And I think feistiness. Yeah, what Uhtred?
I think he called himself Uhtred.
Yeah. Or, even when they're going in the car back into Winchester, and Elspeth says to her, you probably want to say a prayer because you're probably going to die. And she's like, no, I don't want to. I'm not Christian. Even at that point, when I think most people would be like, yeah, because if I do die, I do want to go to heaven. I think
yeah.
She never wavers. So I think it's that. And I think that's her. It's a combination of like a confidence, a feistiness.
Yeah.
Those traits in her that I love.
And you answered Brida's pop quiz, pretty well. Maybe not as quick as she would have wanted, because she picked up that you're not a Dane.
Half a Dane too slow.
Half a Dane too slow.
just ever slightly. I think she definitely knows her stuff when it comes to that. And for me, that came from obviously her mum's side of it. I think missing her mum and wanting to be able to relate to her mum and feel like even though she's dead, she's still with her.
Yeah.
I imagine she does a lot of research into Dane life. When she in the scene with the ruin where she throws it into the river and stuff, I feel like that's all stuff she's read about. And because I think growing up in the church, obviously, it wouldn't have been easy to find out about that kind of stuff. That was stuff that would have been very much frowned upon. So I like to think she did a lot of kind of secret research.
Cool. Yeah.
Which was nice. That. Yeah. So then she could answer Brida. Not quick enough, but almost.
Yeah. Too slow.
Too slow.
Yeah. That's funny. Did you do any research into like history or anything when you got ready for the role?
So I didn't I think watching it, I was shocked by how much history I learned, actually. And I think my main bit of research was realizing that obviously Uhtred, that kind of bit of it, they actually weren't historical characters. I was like, oh, I can't actually go back and read about Stiorra because, you know, technically she didn't really exist. So no, I think it was mainly watching the show was like a history lesson.
Yeah, it totally is. I mean, Bernard Cornwell, the way he writes his books too, he just infuses the history into this fictional story is amazing.
And it makes it so much easier to learn it and understand it.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah. I don't think I'd want to read a textbook of and in 899 Alfred.
There's no way I would have been able to keep my mind on that, but you know, I could sit and watch however many hours of the show, literally back to back. You kind of learn it, don't you, then, without realizing.
Okay, yeah, totally. Yeah. I think the show got us interested in the history of the time. I don't think we were really into it before we watched The Last Kingdom, and like you said, we learned a lot watching it, but it just made us want to learn more. After it, so it's so well done.
Because you kind of you have to keep reminding yourself, don't you? Like, oh wait, so that actually happened, and then you want to Google it and be like, oh, this is what happened, and this is the thing. It is interesting, actually.
Yeah, like for me, when I look at Ethelflaed, it's like she does something awesome on screen. She like charges into battle, or you know, and it's like, oh, it's a cool story. But then you look, it's like, wow, the real Ethelflaed actually fought the Danes off. You know what I mean? In real life. So it's super
do you know
cool.
what? That's actually something. Her character is somebody that I was like, oh, did she really? Have they just done that in the show, or did she actually do that? And every time I've Googled something, she's always actually done it.
Right.
Which is cool. But I actually think, she is one of the characters that I did. She was one of those, I was like, there's no way that this person actually existed, but she did.
Yeah, it's super cool.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. Any challenges when it came to playing Stiorra?
Yeah, definitely. I think the main thing for me was trying to, especially in the first couple of episodes you see her in, was kind of not wanting her to come across just like a moany teenager. And who was like kind of nagging their dad to be allowed to go out and have fun. And it was trying to find that balance between, she is, you know, just that age, and so would have been a bit like that, but for people to kind of really find where that was coming from, so that people still warmed to her and, you know, liked her and got where she was, what she meant. Do you know what I mean?
Totally.
There was a couple of times where I was like, oh, I feel like what I just did then was a bit like, oh, dad, that kind of vibe. So it was trying to find that balance with a bit of that, but also, you know, and that was why I love to do those later episodes where she really comes into her own then.
I don't think it comes off as like whiny when you're like, I don't want to watch these kids anymore. It's just like, oh my God, I've been watching these kids so long. You guys are out doing adventures and fun stuff. It's like, I want that.
Yeah. It's quite a cool life. She's like, I want to go and do something fun, and then she gets that awesome adventure.
She does get an awesome adventure, and I'm excited for future adventures from Stiorra. You know, I hope she definitely gets some.
One of my favorite parts was the end when she's talking to Uhtred and she's telling him, "Oh, I am going with Sigurgeir," and he says, "Oh, you don't have to. I've given enough to Wessex," and she says, "Oh, I haven't given anything." So, and I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I loved that scene. Was really lovely to film as well, and I really did love that scene, where they kind of they finally really get onto the same page, and I feel like Uhtred finally really understands, and she also really understands where Uhtred's coming from.
Right.
And it is true. I think she feels like it's kind of her time now to go off and try and make a change.
I like how she's like one of the only people who understands Uhtred too.
Yeah, I know, it's so nice. I love how close they are. Like it is really, because I think when she's explaining about him in Sigtrygr, you realise that.
Yeah,
you know, he doesn't
love Daneslayer.
He's always felt conflicted between the two, and I think that's because she feels the same way. You know, she doesn't feel like she's completely a Dane or completely a Saxon. You know, she really feels in the middle.
Totally.
Which is why I think she's the perfect person to bring about a bit of peace between them all.
I think so. That would be great.
Yeah.
Cool. And then another scene in that room when Jamie Blackley comes in and Airwolf, with the knife, and he's drunk. Can you talk a little bit about that scene? Because that was a pretty intense scene.
Yeah, again, it's another scene where she kind of has to stand up for herself. Against another one of these horrible guys who just keep coming and trying to. But yeah, I think she in that scene, I think you realize as well that she knows there's something with her and Sigtrygr, because she says to him, you know, he wants to keep me alive.
Right.
I don't think she quite realizes at that point why he wants to keep her alive until he comes in and hits Jamie's character again. I don't think she was expecting that. You know, I think for me it was that moment where she looks over and sees that he's told him off for hurting her. She's like, right. I think that's when something clicks in her mind. That not necessarily that there's at that point there's a spark between them, but just that he's kind of he gets her.
Totally.
Which is nice. And then obviously he goes on to protect her again from Breeder.
Yes. Yeah.
You know?
That's right. Breeder wanted to come in and make a gift of your head, I guess, to Uhtred.
Yeah.
He wasn't gonna let that happen.
And luckily he stops that.
Yes. Another moment too, a brief moment where Eardwolf has you guys cornered at that little pond that you wanted to swim through with all the dead bodies.
Oh, yeah, I know.
But you just like get right up with your dagger.
It's like the first time she finally pulls out a dagger, and I think that was fun. It was those dead bodies in that lake. Some of them were extras, and some of them were
those
dummies.
real? Oh, dummies. Okay.
Yes,
real dead people.
They're not real.
Real dead people. It was so believable. No, I can remember looking at that lake and thinking, "Oh, they're all dummies," and then one of them moved and was like,
"Oh my god." Who got that role?
The kids were super professional, because that was quite scary, and they're just like as if nothing's happened, like, you know, no, obviously they're fake, like trying to help me out.
That's interesting.
But yeah, that's the first time, and I love that it's with Finn, and he says, and you're like, are you ready, sister warrior? And they kind of go into it together.
It seems like you two have a good relationship, the brother and sister in the show. Even though you have different ideals, you really have a good relationship.
Yeah, totally. I think they're really close. I think that kind of comes from, obviously, they both lost their mum young, and I don't think Uhtred was around much for them. So although he then sticks with the church and she doesn't, I definitely think they have a really tight bond where they've probably just relied on each other as, you know, for a while. I think they're each other's only family.
Right.
So I think that's where that comes from. And also Finn is great, and we got on so well that that just kind of again came across. But yeah, so I think, and she, you know, when she says, "I'll take me back with you to even when you're going back to the monastery, like take me too," and he's like, "You don't want to go there." I think she does want to be with him, and she does. I think he's like kind of a bit of feeling safe to her as well, although she maybe wouldn't admit that.
Yeah.
I think it's nice, and she kind of pulls her dagger out a little bit wrong.
Yeah, they have to like kind of like get it out of someone's face.
Yeah, so I think although you know she'd like to pretend otherwise, there's definitely, because he's her big brother, you know, I think that there is definitely still some of that relationship, which is nice.
That's very cool. Yeah, you guys played it so well, so both of you, and it's definitely like making us excited for the future of the show as well.
Do you draw on like your relationship with your real brother, or just your relationship with the other actor, or what all goes into that?
I mean, me and my brother. I'm actually the oldest sibling, but I do look very young, and I think even now, if you met my brother, you'd think he was the older sibling. So I think, yeah, definitely, I'm very close to my brother, and he's now a lot bigger than me. So I think definitely that kind of feeling a bit of safety with them. You know, when you know they're there, they're not even doing anything necessarily. Yeah. Just when you know you have someone who you're that close to and who would have your back no matter what.
Yeah.
Is, you know, a comforting thing, even if that's subconsciously. And I think that it is, especially for Stiorra, because I don't think she'd ever be like, oh yeah, I rely on my brother and he makes me feel better. Yeah. But he definitely does. And I think, that I would probably be the same actually about my brother. If he was here now, I wouldn't say that to him.
We can cut that out if you want. So
definitely don't. I hope you didn't hear me.
That's awesome. So this is, like you said, the first time you were on screen, other than the stuff that you had done in acting school. What was it like to sit back and watch what you helped create?
Oh, so super, super weird. I actually don't really like watching myself, and I think I kind of skim over my bits a bit more because it just
Really?
Yeah, I think you pick out, don't you? And it's yourself. You're like, oh, why do I do that? I hate that. I hate that.
Oh, totally. I think that's normal. Yeah.
But it was really cool to see how it all comes together, and how that my character fitted in with the show. Obviously, like just before it started to come out, it was that kind of like, oh no, like what if she really is not like, it didn't go well. So it was nice to and it's been so nice. Everybody's been so lovely and positive in their reaction as well, which was really nice. And I'm just so pleased people like Stiorra. It was really cool. It was cool to watch it. And obviously with lockdown, literally just me, my parents and my brother were all in the house. So that was fun. Because when you do a show, when you do theatre, you never watch yourself back.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What did your brother think of you being in the show since he was a fan?
He was like, well, you've ruined it for me now. You know, I'm going to watch it and just be thinking about you being in it. Well, that's just, and he'd always, every time I came home from film, he'd be like, I don't want any spoilers. Don't say anything. Don't.
Oh, interesting.
So I think he's a little bit annoyed. He wasn't too pleased. But he also was like, oh, what were they like in real life? I think deep down it was okay. But that was definitely his first reaction, was like, oh, what? You're going to be in it, but I like that. Like,
were you ever able to get him out to Budapest or anything?
He did actually come out.
Oh, cool.
He came on a holiday with some of our friends as well. They came out for a few days.
Nice.
They did a lot of the sightseeing in Budapest. They did a booze cruise and enjoyed that side of Budapest. He did actually meet Alex as well, which was really cool.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's nice to see my brother a little bit starstruck because he's not me.
Yeah.
So it was, he's like, I'm being like this Alex. He's like, cool.
That's awesome. Well, Christian Ilborg, who played Eric in season 2, we had him on, and he told us Alex is just he just knows everybody. He knows everybody on the set, and he knows their family, and he seems really cool.
He's such a great guy, and he's obviously the center of the show.
Right.
And I think one of the reasons why the show is so good is because he's not just the center of like the plot and his character. He really is the center of just the whole production.
Mm-hmm. The things you don't see. Yeah,
and he makes he knows everyone and what everybody does, and he's just always so welcoming. And I think actually he was one of the first people I met.
Oh, cool.
I met Steph first, and then I was on set and someone was like, oh, do you want to come meet your dad? And I was like,
you meet your dad.
And like, I wasn't even filming that day. I think I'd just gone for like some hair tests or something like that. And like literally, again, right from that moment, he was just like, you need anything, let me know, and we'll, and and he doesn't just kind of say it, he genuinely does mean that, and that was the case. So yeah, that really is true. He just kind of knows everybody and everybody's family, and it's
that's
great.
awesome.
I think it's I think that's honestly one of the reasons why the show is what it is.
So you watched, you've watched all of the show. Is there anybody from seasons 1 through 3 that are no longer on the show that you would have really loved to work with?
Oh, definitely David Dawson. I think he's just such an amazing actor, and I think to just be able to actually watch him do what he does in person, and even be able to act in a scene with him would be amazing. Both an amazing character and an amazing actor. So I think, probably I would say definitely probably him. I remember when I realized he died, I was like, oh damn, really?
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see Stiorra and him.
Sorry?
Oh, sorry. I just said it would be interesting to see how him and Stiorra would be.
I think they'd get on because he loves Uhtred. So I think he would have been like, okay, you're a mini Uhtred. I like you too. I like to think that would have been the case anyway.
I think so. As long as you don't piss him off, I think you'll be good.
Yeah. which she maybe would have, you know, I think it would have been a similar relationship actually to the one he has with Uchin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, that's awesome. Is there anything new from you that we can look forward to yet?
At the moment, it's just looking like lockdown. I kind of actually finished Last Kingdom and then went pretty much into lockdown. I think I had managed to get a little holiday in December. And then I just was starting to like get back to spending a bit more time in London and stuff. And then it was like coronavirus came.
Right. Yeah, I think that everybody's in the same boat for that right now. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But no, it is. I mean, I'm kind of trying to see it as a positive of like every day is a weekend. You know, there will come a time where I don't want it to be Monday morning. So yeah.
That's a good way to look at it.
I'm gonna have a lie-in on Monday because I can.
So obviously, you're just starting your career, and you know it looks like it's going to be a very promising career to us, at least. Do you have any like dream movies or shows that you would like to be a part of?
I don't know. I think I would love to. I don't know if there's anything specific, but I definitely love to do film, I think. I mean, I also love theatre. Like any TV, film or theatre is kind of, I love all of them and want to do all of them. And I think that's like the ultimate goal is to just be able to do all three. But yeah, I think maybe just to experience a film set and see how that's different to a TV set, maybe. Because it was so interesting to get to go and see how a TV series works.
Yeah.
So I think to get to see if, you know, the similarities and I'm guessing differences as well for film would be really cool as well.
Cool.
Any specific genre or type of movie that you'd really love to be in?
I'd love to do like a real action, you know, like a kind of Lara Croft type thing where you get to do loads of stunts and loads of definitely.
It could be Lara Croft. Yeah.
Just tell people like, no, I think just something where you could really like. I got to do stunt training and stuff for this, which was really fun.
Yeah.
So anything with a bit more of that would be cool, I think.
And you rode a horse too in this too. Had you ever ridden a horse before?
Not really, no.
Really?
And I definitely did that classic thing where I was like, horse riding? Yeah, I love it. That's perfect for this part. I can ride a horse, and then it got
right.
But the stunt team and they're really, really good. And I think I had a few days before I started filming, and I had some horse riding lessons, which was cool. And made me feel a bit calmer about the situation. And then they put me on quite a sleepy horse, so my horse was very chilled out.
Okay, cool.
if anything, it was actually tricky to get her moving rather than slow down. But I definitely would have rather that than, you know,
a horse that just takes off or
crazy horse. So I think the scenes where I'm on the horse, it's mainly just me trying to look really calm and cool.
Yeah, and I think one I remember is you're just like telling Elfwin not to cry or something when you're on the horse. Yeah, you look cool. You look cool on the horse, though.
I think that was the thing I was most nervous about when it was coming out. I think that was actually the first thing I did was skip to that start of episode 6 to make sure the horse riding didn't look terrible. Because some of my family actually do have ridden horses, and they're actually quite good. And they were all really taking the mick out of me.
Oh,
especially when I started filming, where they were like, have you told them that you can ride a horse? Like, this is nasty because you can't. So I quickly checked that it didn't look terrible, that I wasn't like this.
And what did they say when they saw you riding the horse? They say you look pro, or?
They were like, I mean, I don't think they said pro, but they were like, we believed it.
Okay. You'll take that. We think you look pro.
I'll take it.
What other interests do you have outside of acting and film or shows?
That's a very good question. I feel like I just want to say acting now. I'm recently actually, I've got a bit into running. I don't know if that's, maybe I could say that's come from all the running in series 6, or maybe it's lockdown, but I've got quite into, and maybe that's why I want to do the stunt stuff. I really got into doing that. I mean, I'm not overly sporty, but I think I would love to, you know, maybe start a bit more tennis or things like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, I don't know really. I would say sort of like exercise stuff. I do definitely enjoy that, and I really love traveling as well.
Yeah. Awesome.
I love a good holiday, but just to see, you know, like different parts of the world, and that's something I would actually love to do a bit more of.
Mm-hmm.
And it's tricky in lockdown.
Yeah.
But But yeah, I think I've been really lucky and got to go to some really lovely places, and that was one of the great things about filming, was getting to be in a different city and explore that.
What'd you think of Budapest? You
loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd never ever been, actually. I've done a few places in Europe, but I never even thought to do Budapest, actually.
Right.
My grandparents had been, and my grandma really loved it. It's great, really, really nice city. And loads to see, and loads of history there and stuff as well. And my dad's really into art and paints. He's an artist, so it was great when they came out to visit. We went to some lovely art galleries and things like that, so that was great.
That's awesome. Any favorite places other than Budapest that you've traveled?
My favorite place in the whole world is Cape Town.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. It's one of the most beautiful places. I've never been anywhere else in the world that's so kind of like everywhere you look, you're like, wow, that's beautiful. Wow, that's
really?
beautiful. That's beautiful. Yeah. And I love America too. I've only ever been to Chicago and New York.
Okay, cool.
Loved America.
Awesome. Well,
yeah, I think I'd like to live in America one day.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Well, come on over.
Yeah. Sure.
But yeah. No, that's awesome. That's really awesome. Hopefully, your acting career will spiral into many more adventures and traveling to other countries. I'm sure it will.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you. Yeah, it's one of the cool things about the job is actually getting to go to different places, I guess, and it being different every day.
Now with theater, do you have to do anything musical or anything like that? The theater that you've done?
At drama school, we didn't. We did have to do something. I'm not the best singer in the world. I can sing a song and hold a song, but I'm not. I used to, when I was younger, do quite a lot of musical theatre, but I was definitely more into the dance and drama side of it.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
I think I get quite shy when I have to do singing. I like singing, but it's yeah.
Well, sing us a song right now.
Literally my idea of hell. Imagine I've got it like already. I was just waiting for you to ask me that question.
You had it ready, set up.
Piano here, I'm ready to go for a song.
Full band just walks in the door behind you and just sets up.
That actually.
Colby's really good at Ave Maria, aren't you, Colby?
Yeah, but I lost my voice today, so I can't do it.
Oh, that's too bad.
Oh,
sorry.
Karaoke song.
What's that?
Is that your karaoke song? Get up and
Ave Maria.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's his.
Every Saturday night.
The perfect song for a club. Absolutely. Well,
it's been really great talking to you, Steve. Do you have any other questions for
Ruby? Thank you for taking the time talking with us. It's been great.
No, very fun. Thank you for asking me.
Yeah. Do you have anything for the fans?
No, I guess really I'm just so grateful that everybody has been so lovely and enjoyed the show so much, and that so many people have watched it. I definitely think, as well as the cast all being so lovely and the production crew all being so great, it's the fans of this show really are just awesome. Like they love it so much, and they know so much about it, and I think they know more than me, and they're like so behind it that's really lovely. And I think that was also one of the things that made it less daunting going into a show that's already done 3 series, was that pretty much all of the fans were just like, they were like, welcome to the family,
Yeah.
So I'm very grateful for that, and yeah, it's great.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, again, we look really forward to seeing what you have to bring, whether it's Last Kingdom or whatever your career takes you. We'll definitely be keeping track of you, Ruby, for sure.
Oh, thank you. It's so nice to talk to you guys. Thank you for having me.
Hey, no problem. And if you guys want to see more of Ruby, you can follow her on Instagram, or do you have Twitter as well? Or
I actually only have Instagram.
Instagram. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And check out her IMDb, and we'll link that all below. And if you want to keep up with the Screen Chronicles, please follow and subscribe, and we'll have more to come. But other than that, we appreciate everybody listening, and goodbye from the Screen Chronicles and Ruby Hartley.
Yeah, can we get a Destiny is all from you, Ruby?
Destiny is all.